I was at Tucker Carlson's house, and he had a Bible, and he told me that Nick Fuentes, well, hold on a second. I should stop right there.
Tell me afterwards.
I've heard an enormous amount of rumors that Nick Fuentes is gay.
Oh, yes.
Not from just one person.
Well, let me.
It certainly seems
Let me convert it from rumor to reality. Yes. Yes.
Do you know my ex-girlfriend Lauren Hayden by any chance? She did a thing with Fuentes. And she's I think very attractive young lady.
She's very pretty.
And she's
You've always had lovely girls.
Well, thank you. But Lauren's flirting with Nick, and Nick's just sort of like doesn't know what to do. It was the weirdest thing.
A purported explicit video allegedly involving streamer Stephen Destiny Bonnell the Sect and far-right commentator Nick Fuentes has ignited widespread speculation online. The video, which reportedly depicts a man resembling Destiny in a sexual act with another man, has led social media users to question whether Fuentes is the second individual. The controversy was further fueled by resurfaced clips from Destiny's August 2022 stream featuring Fuentes as a guest. During the stream, Fuentes made remarks hinting at mutual interests in male intimacy. Adding to the rumors, screenshots from Destiny's chat logs from that period revealed comments that some interpreted as allusions to homosexual fantasies. Destiny is a prominent live streamer and political commentator known for his political debates.
is Candace Owens the Fed? I mean, who's the Fed in this group? Because they're all kind of pointing fingers at each other. Milo Yiannopoulos gets in on this and points the fingers even more at Nick Fuentes. And he says, remember when Nick had his money frozen by DOJ? Ask him how he got them to unfreeze it. Answer, informing. Then ask when it was unfrozen. Ask for proof. He was lying to fans every day, taking cash off teens, claiming his account was frozen 6 months after he got it back. And Elon Musk writes, doesn't make sense that the FBI leaves Fuentes alone unless he's an asset of some kind. So even Elon Musk is now getting in on accusing Nick Fuentes of potentially being an informant. Milo then goes on to, he shares a video, which I'm going to play for you here in a second, of Nick Fuentes at J6, which kind of adds to the evidence that he might be a Fed. And Milo says no charges because Nick was one of 30 or so confidential informants working for the FBI on January 6th to entrap Trump voters. His victims were tortured for years in jail. At least 5 are dead. And he plays this video of Nick Fuentes from January 6th.
We're moving towards the Capitol. It appears we are taking the Capitol back. Keep marching and don't relent, never relent. Yeah! Putting down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us.
Okay, so you hear him there on J6 saying, we're taking the Capitol back. He's kind of, it sounds like he's riling up the crowd to, it could be construed as going in and taking it by force. And other people like Nick Fuentes were carted off to jail for that sort of thing. So why wasn't Nick? So that is what Milo Yiannopoulos is sharing, saying, why did he not end up going to jail for this? And Elon Musk even responded to that as, he says, but there's this evidence that others are pointing at saying, you kind of look like a Fed. And I think the big question, and then here's one last one, defense of Nick. Let's do some defense of him. This is Myron Gaines, and he says, Nick is not and has never been a Fed. As someone who actually served as a federal agent, I can attest that his placement on the no-fly list alone is irrefutable proof that he never worked for nor cooperated with the government. The fact that he's been blackballed from every major media platform, debanked, and subjected to countless other hardships only reinforces this reality. This reeks of a coordinated hit job, especially given Nick's exponential growth and rising influence. So he's kind of saying, he's like, look, I've been in law enforcement. He's absolutely not a Fed. Where he's rising in prominence is that he's pointing out a lot of the, he's one of those where he's, along with Myron Gaines, kind of saying it's the Jews all the time. It's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. And people are seeing that our government has clearly been hijacked by Zionists and pro-Israel, and that our government is off kissing the Wailing Wall and paying homage to Israel during recess, and when they should actually be paying attention to the American people. And so people are starting to pay attention to Nick Fuentes and his message and saying, yeah, I think maybe there's some truth to some of the things that you're saying. What would be the reason that Nick Fuentes would be a Fed? From a Fed perspective, from the government, intelligence community perspective, why would you want to recruit somebody like Nick, who goes around saying it's the Jews all the time, and who makes statements like, women should keep their place and whites should keep their? What would be the reason for them to want somebody like that on their team? Well, I could think of a few reasons, and I've thought about this with others who are, I think, rounding up people and kind of herding them into a certain way of thinking. As we know that what the Feds do like to do is they like to corral people and encourage them into groups and even ways of thinking that they really actually otherwise wouldn't. And then they end up setting them up and saying, well, you're a terrorist now, right? So even though it was the Feds that gave them the plans, the ideas, the bombs, like everything that they would need in order to commit the crime, they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do it on their own. But the Feds completely set them up. and say, well, that's what you get for getting sucked into this group. But when you really look back at the history, when they started whatever group they got into, they thought it was for something else until some extremist, supposed extremist, but really was a Fed, starts planting some strange ideas. And the next thing you know, the person is painted as a terrorist. So they use these kind of useful idiots all the time. Somebody like Nick, clearly not an idiot. But if he were a Fed, it would be to create a bunch of useful idiots. It'd be to corral them in. It'd be to, how many people are going to share your ideas? Because they're a scourge on society. People who share your way of thinking are a scourge on society. The problem with that is when you're leading them to that way of thinking, they otherwise wouldn't think it on their own. They otherwise wouldn't agree to it, but they want acceptance. They want belonging. They want, a leader, and they gain this acceptance and belonging in a certain group. And so then they inevitably start to agree with their. So that's the danger in this. They corral people into these boxes, into these groups, into these ways of thinking that they otherwise wouldn't. And then they could, blacklist them, spy on them, set them up. They could do a variety of things, take away their civil liberties. Right? That would be the point of using somebody like a Nick. And you would have to think that the feds would have some sort of reason for wanting him. You have to think that through. What is it that they would use him for? Bringing up. So that's one. One is corralling a bunch of like-minded people. Then we can maybe gather lists from you of all of these people that follow you in your way of thinking, so we can keep an eye on those Americans. We can spy on those Americans. We can keep an eye on them, and we have them on a list. Another thing is what Tucker was bringing up, and that is to delegitimize actual legitimate voices and legitimate criticism. So you've got you could then paint the entire movement that is happening on the right, the skeptical of Israel movement, the skeptical of the military-industrial complex. If you can lump in extremist ideology that comes from guys like Nick Fuentes, if you could lump them into that group, you can smear the entire group. So that would be the main reason to use one. But that, I don't know if the feds would do that so much as groups. I would think that wouldn't be a Fed operation. That would be something more akin to like an ADL operation, or those that have a certain, they have a certain way of thinking that they're trying to get the rest of the brainwashing. And I don't know if the feds do brainwashing as much as, unless the brainwashing is for a certain means, like I said, they're trying to gather useful idiots for a variety of things.
But here's the question I have for you. Because it's very odd that on January 6th, you see Nick Fuentes commanding his group.
He told people to go into the Capitol. He didn't.
And then he didn't go.
Yeah, well.
So do you think he's a Fed informant?
Of course he's a fucking Fed informant. It's obvious. And there are a million reasons why, not least of which is, and he admitted this to me, he lied about his money getting frozen. He said $500,000 got frozen by the FBI and then fundraised off it for months. Didn't tell his fans that they returned it almost immediately. When was the last time you ever heard of the FBI returning money? When they freeze someone's account. Somebody asked, do you think Nick Fuentes basically lied about the no-fly list too? He did. He told me. So he was... What? He told you? Yeah. He was a bitch to an air hostess about masks and got thrown off a plane and was banned from Delta for 6 months. He was never on the no-fly list. That's why. Never on the no-fly list. Never happened.
You're gonna say 6 million. If you bring up the Holocaust, I'm gonna say it was 6 million, no more, no less. And also, I'm a product of the Holocaust. You know, my grandfather fled Europe after World War II, moved to Haiti, had me. I'm a product of that. So obviously, my existence proves the Holocaust happened. And it was exactly 6 million.
In April 2020, he released a video on his main channel in which his girlfriend cut his hair while he ranked different music albums. Sneako seemed happy and his fans were happy for him. He was getting comments like, "Sneako has a girlfriend, the world really is changing. I'm glad I'm seeing character development on this channel." In the year that followed, he featured her in several of his videos. In February 2021, Sneako published the video "We Broke Up." He and his girlfriend hadn't seen each other for about 6 months due to COVID restrictions, and 2 months into this, Sneako cheated on her. In the past, he talked about how he thinks monogamy is unnatural, so this wasn't the most surprising thing in the world. But his cavalier attitude on the video wasn't received well by fans. They left comments saying, "I feel like Sneako genuinely thinks that it's corny to be a decent human being. When your own fans say the girl deserved better, you know something's up." It's very satisfying to see even his own fans holding him accountable for his actions, because this shit ain't it. But a few months went by and Sneako found a new girlfriend. He even had his new girl and his ex in a video together, which was just a very Sneako thing to do. But unlike his relationship with his ex, Sneako and his new girlfriend had an open relationship.
So I've been sitting inside. The only time I go outside, you guys want to know the truth? The painful truth? I only really go outside when I do the debates, man. I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, yo, I literally only go outside to do the debates. I barely leave my building. Because you guys know me, I'll work, bro. I'll give up my social life. I don't go. You know? Angie's very understanding. She takes Frank whenever I need him. She helps me with groceries. So Angie's very understanding. I haven't seen her in a bit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. She actually came by real quick when I was doing the table.
When do you have time for a relationship?
You know, as of recently, man, it's been tough, bro. I'm not going to lie, man. It's been tough as of recently, especially the past year.
Most of the people that I know that are very successful, they don't focus on the relationship as much as they focus on what they feel like is necessary for them to do to win.
Oh yeah, I'd be lying to you if I told you that my relationship was awesome and I was like, no man, like my social life, I had 100% transparent, gone, cooked, finito.
Do you have a missus? Do you have a girl?
That's irrelevant to the question.
No, like I just want to know context.
I'm asking you.
I want to get to know you.
That's irrelevant. We're having an objective discussion. Women that are sex workers.
Do you have a wife? Do you have a girlfriend? That's what I thought.
What does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. Like, it just means like you can't even get it yourself. So like you are telling me I can't. Like what's that? I don't get that.
I want to know your argument first because that is like crazy, bro. Don't you have like a girlfriend or like a wife or something? Like somebody you appreciate?
Bro, we went over this a million times. Somebody else, because I don't want to rehash the same argument again. Yeah, somebody else.
Ooh, Myron, who's Angie?
You know what, man? This is crazy, bro. Well,
what did Angie say?
This is.
I said, Myron, are you still with Angie?
Oh.
This is absolutely nuts that women don't.
Myron repeatedly mentions his girlfriend during debates, during discussions, just be like, "What, you think a guy like me can't have a girlfriend?" And now all of a sudden that shit's falling apart. He's high. Works. What happened?
I did went out a couple of times with Angie. She's nice, you know. She was nice, and she told me the stuff that was happening between them. Clearly, they don't have sex at all. Yeah.
Either. I just got here from work, and we never have sexual relationships, guys. Like, you should stop with.
Them boys commented about damn time. We all know you were smashing Angie. You know what, bro? I wish, but no.
They don't have sex?
They don't have sex, and she told me Myron just prefer to be with other women.
You mean other men?
Like, my girl don't talk back to me. Like, this whole like situation, all the, like argue. There's no arguments. This is how it is. She packs my fucking condoms when I travel. That's how real it is.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry for her.
yeah. And here's the thing. No. She lives a great fucking life, and she's a beautiful girl. She's hotter than all the girls here. And if you got a guy that checks off all the boxes. You got to pay the price for that man checking all those boxes. He didn't check all those boxes off to just fuck you. She packs my fucking condoms when I travel. That's how real it is.
Monogamous on her end, open on my end. You know where she's at right now? She's hanging out with my parents. Up again.
All the happiest pictures I've seen of this is in another man's arms.
That's crazy.
Fresh, fit, and fabulous. Fresh and fellas.
Fresh and fellas?
Fresh and fellas. 2 guys, no hoes. Fresh and fitness. Fresh and fitness. Fresh and fit for men who reject feminism but not each other. Okay. Red pill in the streets, rainbow in the sheets. No? Welcome to Fresh and Fit, where no homo is a suggestion. How about Fresh and Spit? Trad values, soft hands, you know what I'm saying? No, okay.
Fresh and Slay.
Fresh and Slay.
Another rollerblade.
Myron repeatedly mentions his girlfriend during debates, during discussions, just be like, what, you think a guy like me can't have a girlfriend? And now all of a sudden that shit's falling apart.
Gay people should
I
not
think
be
they should
able to
have
get
the ability to go ahead and do civil unions so that they can go ahead and get some of the tax benefits and some of the protections afforded through
Aren't you
marriage.
guys both like gay, low-key?
On Saturdays, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Because you know they got the you guys don't see that the pictures.
Yeah. I can address that here in a second. But to go to your question with the gay thing, yeah, dude. So like they circulate these pictures, right?
Yeah.
Of like me in college with my teammates, right? And if you look at the pictures, right, like one of them I'm like in bed, right, and one of my buddies' name is Eric. He's like on top of me hugging, dude. That was on a training trip back in like 2011, 2012. So like I'm in my room sleeping, and they barge in, right, and they turn the lights on like this and wake up, practice. It was always hard for me to wake up. So he jumps on me to wake up, and that's why I'm like half asleep like this, and they snap a picture. They understand, and like anyone that's an athlete or in the military or like around your bros, dude, they do stupid all the time. It's like funny, like, and that's fine. They can have those pictures out there. They're on my Facebook public because I'm not ashamed of those pictures. Like people around and do stupid shit, kiss me on the cheek and shit. That's not gay. Like, if you go to any Middle Eastern country, Sudan, Dubai, whatever it may be, Egypt, etc., it's actually very common to kiss a guy on the cheek when you meet.
I'm 4 weeks pregnant now, and today I did an ultrasound. I had a blood test. So it's 4 weeks. Pregnant. I can't pretending like nothing happened. I can't. In my religion, we don't kill.
You're not killing it. Okay.
I want to keep the baby.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just don't want any kids. All right?
I want the baby because I don't want to kill the baby. I don't want to kill nobody. I don't want to.
You're not. They just give you a pill and then it's over.
No. I'm pregnant.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The pill, they just give it to you from the doctor and then you're good.
I am pregnant. I can't pretending like nothing happened. I can't. In my religion, we don't kill.
You're not. Okay.
I want to keep the baby.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just don't want any kids. You know?
Okay, so what you gonna do? And what you gonna do to me?
Nothing. Why did I do anything to you?
Nothing?
Why did I do anything to you?
No, I know. So like, how are you gonna deal with this? By saying I don't want a baby? That's all?
I mean, I could go to the doctor, I guess.
To the doctor. So you want abortion?
I mean, yeah. Why do you want a kid now?
And why do you make me pregnant now?
That's I'm like, there's no way that's true. But then it's like, oh wow, like.
So just think about it. It's meant to be. God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.
It is. God wants you to have a baby. 7 years never happened, and then you're you're me for a month, and I'm pregnant. What does that mean?
Well,
now I just think about it, if you force me to kill the baby, then you're a sin.
Well, we already sinned by having sex, but it's too late now, you know. But honestly.
Hello, you dirty little boys. Are you interested in my body? Watch.
I think that Sydney had a very subtle finesse rhinoplasty. As you can see here, the bridge of her nose was thinned out. I also noticed that her nose tip has been made smaller and less prominent. Now, a finesse rhinoplasty is an interesting type of rhinoplasty because it's basically done on someone who already has a great nose, and it's done in order to sort of perfect the nose, as they say.
In Sydney Sweeney's face from age 16 here to age 26 now. Perhaps you can guess what work she's had done and which changes are the results of natural aging. The first major difference is her nose. If you look closely, you can see that the bridge of the nose has become narrower and there's now more upward rotation at the tip. According to multiple studies, the nasal tip does droop naturally downwards and the nose enlarges after adolescence. So this may not just be natural aging. Sydney's likely had a subtle rhinoplasty to narrow her nasal bridge, along with what Rashad et al. Calls tip spanning, which is a technique designed to subtly refine and increase the nasal tip projection by a few millimeters. Next, if you look at her face from the side profile, you also notice that her nasolabial angle, which is the angle between the lower edge of her nose and the edge of her upper lip, has become less acute over time, and now falls within the modern ideal ranges of around 90 to 100 degrees, particularly for Caucasian women. This is another likely sign of rhinoplasty, as we would expect her nasolabial angle to become more acute with time, as this is a natural characteristic of aging. This new angle was also likely influenced by the second difference in her face over time, the upper lip. Zoning in on the upper lip area, you also notice that this increase in volume from her mid-teens to her mid-20s is not just natural aging. This is most likely lip filler, as Saposa and colleagues' study found the area and height of the lips actually do decrease after late adolescence. That being said, her lip filler is almost undetectable until you see her before pictures, and there are two things you need to do if you want natural results like this. First is to minimize the amount of filler.
So the message that's communicated, you think, covertly in a way, is what? Sort of slightly dog whistle fascistic stuff?
I believe somebody made a mistake and made an oversight, did not consider the diversity of perspectives, and inadvertently perhaps, although we know that marketing executives have been quite open about wanting to stir some kind of controversy with this campaign, I believe that they inadvertently made this implication and made that parallel between so-called good genes and offspring and the language of passing down these good or great features, and this model whose initials, quite frankly, don't really benefit the kind of scandal that is...
Oh no, because her initials are SS. Okay, well, let's just give up and go home. Right, well, it seems from that the Nazis are back and they're trying to sell you genes.